folks, we are back with the ATK Pro Series, and this, of course, is round 6 at the Nürburgring of the Gran Turismo Sport version of the championship. Things are hotting up as we make our way to the MSA Showdown, which is happening next week, no less. And that, of course, is where the top sim races from Gran Turismo Sport and ACC will start whittling down until we finally find those drivers that are going to make it through to the finals of the MSA Showdown. But today is the final of the championship, and the top 10 drivers from this series will go through. Of course, today is powered by Mercedes-Benz, taking us through those bends on the Nürburgring today in a Mercedes, no less, but more about that car later. Also powered by Coach Dave Academy, giving these guys all the setups they need to go as fast as possible. Kyalami 9 Hour, and of course Motorsport South Africa, making sure that this event is officially sanctioned and supported by Motorsport South Africa, meaning that in future we could be seeing guys wearing the green and gold for sim racing, but maybe a little bit more about that later. Give you guys the inside scoop on that later on. As always, I am joined by Marius Roberts, and Stephen Berry will be joining us today as a man on the inside. Marius Roberts, are you excited for GT Sport? I know you're a big Gran Turismo fan. Here we go back to the Nürburgring once more, and in a GT3 car, no less.
Yeah, I heard you getting all fired up and excited about where we're heading, which is obviously the MSA Showdown. And like, I know a lot of the guys have probably secured their spots in the top 10, and you might think, well, today's race is going to be pedestrian, but it never is. The guys are racers. They're going to want to put on a cracker show and consolidate positions. And the Nürburgring is such a great circuit. And I think for me, having played on Gran Turismo and not really done the Assetto Corsa thing, irrespective, it's a circuit that most guys in the sim community would have spent a lot of time around. So yeah, I think it's going to be like a home track for a lot of these guys. And obviously, a home track for Mercedes-Benz. The Nürburgring is one of their test facilities, where their facility is, and one of their test tracks. And the car is an absolute crack. And I'm glad we're wrapping things up in the GT3. I know it's an older spec, 2016. I think it's probably the car that I did a lap in at Kyalami. So not yeah. You remember they brought it. Festival of Motoring a few years back, and it's not necessarily that's a great thing, the quickest in a straight line, but my goodness me, the aero and the mechanical grip on these things is just on a different level. So looking forward to a cracker race. It's a great car and a great track combo, and most of the usual suspects lined up there, but a couple of new names that are showing. Wilfred Robson, I don't think we've seen him before.
No, we haven't.
So that's nice. So looking forward to that, but maybe we can get some more info from the man that knows it all.
Stephen Berry, over to you.
How's everyone?
Good.
Yeah, we got some guys moving back up. RTA Donkey missed a race due to load shedding, so P1 Pool 2 last time out, and he's back in Pool 1. Wolfman Willie, as you mentioned, he hasn't raced Pool 1 here before, but he did spend a fair amount of our recently finished GTSA season in Pool 1. I think he ended up 8th overall for the season, so great to have him there. And yeah, it looks like it's DMR versus RTA tonight with Callum Pace all on his lonesome.
Well, yeah, he's got no friends. What's happened?
Well, some familiar names there for sure. We've got Corner Estes and Michael Rue, Ian Bergstead. And these guys who did so well at Spa last week, or the last event at least, Ian came out of nowhere to take that third position there. Michael Rue getting second, and Corner Estes and getting first. So we've got a couple of names in there that we do know, but of course some of the big standout names, especially in our championship, you've got Dean Norkay there, right on top of the championship standings in first place. Deacon Peterson in second position, just 25 points behind, and so many points up for grabs with each position. 25 points could be the difference between a DNF or a crash out or a disconnect.
Well,
God forbid.
What looks interesting, if I look at that at the leaderboard, Stefan Wessels, RTA Donkey, who we just heard missed obviously a previous round.
He's in 11th.
crucial, because have a look how close though. So there's just 3 points between him and Sir Ian. So
Yes.
there's a lot to play for in this race, and that for me is what is exciting, because the guys aren't worrying about. Obviously, for a guy like Dean, he wants to ensure that he wins the championship, but it's the top 10 that we're really interested to see how that's going to play out. And we've got Alan van Graan, the Stiganator, who's also in this round. So Fluffy Butt hasn't made it. I laugh every time I see that. But yeah, there can still be some movement here, because there's still a lot of points up for grabs. So watch that battle with Sir Ian and RTA Donkey.
Well, certainly, I think you pointed out something very critical there, Marius. I mean, look at the, 12, 11, 10, and 9, 8 even. All of these guys are guys that have now suddenly started making their way to the front of the pack. And that's what it's going to take now, is that these guys need to actually beat other drivers that are also quick. They're not beating a top 10 driver or 11th place driver in the shape of RTA Donkey. They're beating a guy that can easily beat top 3 on a good day. So it's that the last positions here today are really going to be treacherous for the guys to try and clinch. I mean, Stephen, I'd love to get your input on that.
Definitely, I agree. I think we're going to have a team game again, very similar to the last round, because like you mentioned, guys like Michael Roux in 9th place, there's 4 points ahead of Donkey. The guys are obviously, each team wants as many members of theirs as they can, so Stiganator has still got a chance of moving up there. Alan van Graan, Fluffy, I think I saw in the Discord chat that he's out tonight in Pool 2, so he's probably going to be out of it. But yeah, even we've got Ruan, Alan, Shaw, probably down to Shaw in 15th. They all could spring a surprise.
Yeah, so anything can happen tonight in the final round of the ATK Pro Series Gran Turismo Sport Edition. And tonight, of course, as we said, we are at the Nürburgring, home of Mercedes-Benz. And they've won the Nürburgring title a couple of times. And I think it was in 2014 they won it, when this car was first produced with this exact car, with this model of car. So it's fitting that these guys now get to parade at high speed around the circuit. Dino K certainly has things wrapped up by the looks of things, but I'm keen to see if him and Deacon are actually going to give it to each other. I mean, they're all from opposing teams. We've seen the DMR and the RTA guys battle it out extensively, with old Kalen Mawa from KLM always being the thorn in the side. Let's see. I'm keen to see what happens.
You know, it was so funny though, Ernest. I mean, I remember when we were commentating at the last round at Spa, we were kind of raving about, geez, these guys go wheel to wheel and it's amazing, and we've had no real incidents. And then that 5th round was absolute carnage. And maybe it was because they were in a Formula One car, and it's a little bit more tricky to go wheel to wheel. But the Oaks were actually a little bit insane with some of the driving we saw, especially on the opening lap or two. So I don't know what we're going to get here, because it is, like I said, it's a circuit that everyone knows. It's a circuit with some real definite clear overtaking places, especially into turn 1. So I think we're going to be in for a cracker. From a strategy perspective, maybe Stephen can guide us here as well. I don't think we're going to have as much strategy at play here as we saw last week or 2 weeks ago at Spa.
Yeah, definitely. The guys did say that it's going to be pretty much down to the same strategy with most of them, so it will be more of a case like we've seen in some of the previous rounds of, you might have a Deacon saving an extra 5% fuel in the slipstream, or someone like JDJ might save his tires a little bit better, but that's where those extra tenths will come in towards the end. And like you say, turn 1, besides from being an overtaking spot, there's multiple lines in there. So we had the Gran Turismo second round of the World Tour on Sunday, I think it was, and there was some very interesting driving there. A few guys getting wrapped on the knuckles. So hopefully, I doubt we'll see that tonight. After round 5, the guys did get a bit of a speaking to some of them. So hopefully, it's all great.
Yeah, listen, because it was surprising, and I know, I mean, Spa kind of lends itself to that, because there are opportunities, but then a lot of the time on that circuit as well, it's very definitely follow my leader parts, where you're lining up to get the move done, and it just felt like everyone was trying to push passes where Yeah, passes weren't really available, and a lot easier to do it when you are in a tin top than in open wheel. So I think the guys are more comfortable here. You know, you can go door to door, and we've seen that with the way Gran Turismo works compared to Assetto Corsa, where it really doesn't deal with proximity that well. Whereas Gran Turismo allows you to lean on each other, and that's the racing. If I remember back to the first round when we were in the A45s, it was cracker. I mean, the guys were leaning on each other and really putting on a good show. So I'm sure they're looking forward to driving the AMG GT3 car. It's an absolute cracker of a machine, and already, like, for me, it's a nice challenging circuit because you've got some high speed stuff, you've got some technical stuff. We also, the chicane is always, it's so easy to get your brake marker wrong, and end up in big trouble there. And we often see a lot of incidents turn one and through the chicane too. So I'm looking forward to a cracker. And like you said, there's going to definitely be some team strategy. You know, you might even find a guy like Dean, who's kind of run away with things, maybe playing the team role now to help some of his teammates solidify their places in the top 10.
As mentioned before, if team orders were allowed and are possible, then I think we're definitely going to see that. And we can see the split in the team with regard to the championship as well. The RTA guys, as mentioned earlier on, and the DMR guys, you know, things are friendly, but things are still competitive. And I've been going through the chats here on Discord, and somebody actually made a joke about that. One of the guys said, me and my friends had a laugh about how competitive we are. And then there's a ... and he says, I laughed the longest. So these guys are very competitive by nature, and I think that's what we're seeing here. We're seeing the competition hotting up. They've been given a talking to by the stewards. So competition has hotted up towards the end of the season, but now as we make our way to the final round, hopefully the guys are going to behave themselves. We see some good racing. Of course, none of this would have been possible without Mercedes-Benz making sure the wheels are turning. On the ATK Mercedes-Benz Pro Series, we got Coach Dave Academy sorting the guys out with setups and coaching. Kailami 9 Hour, and of course Motorsport South Africa, the host for the MSA Showdown, which happens in about 7 days' time. It's going to be an insane one. We've got 24 of the top drivers in the country competing for the showdown and the winner of the MSA Showdown title. Now, of course, the racing is about to begin, and we're going to be going right back to a commercial break for a couple of moments and then straight into qualifying. Stay tuned, folks. The ATK Pro Series continues after this. And here we go, folks. Here we go. We are live for the qualifying of the ATK Pro Series Round 6 at the Nürburgring. We've got eyes on DKP at the moment. And then, of course, them in racing, number 44 car in the pits over there. That's Taylor. And now cutting to Dino over there. The guys all over the track at the moment. None of them are driving at the moment. And playing the strategy game could be with the looks of things. Just waiting for the qualifying to start there. Back to the commentator's screen. You guys get to look at our mugs for a little bit longer. Yeah,
shame. That's unfortunate. Stephen, how important? I mean, for me, always at a track like this, you want to qualify on pole. I'm sure it's no different with this race now. The guys want to obviously put in the best times and start in the best position. You mentioned just before we went to the ad break, doesn't look like there's going to be too much strategy. It looks like it's a straight shootout with one pit stop. So it might just be manipulating fuel. You know, someone's pitting a little bit earlier and trying to do the undercut.
Yeah, definitely. Hopefully we're going to see a nice tight race. The RTA guys, from what I picked up, are all running the similar strategy. So I don't know, we might be surprised by DMR, but from what I've heard, everyone's going to be on a similar strategy. So it should be one of those fuel-saving tyre management kind of events.
I just think we've got to cheer old Kyle and Mawa along, because shame. I mean, he literally is the only guy that's racing without friends at the moment. So I always root for the underdog in cases like that, because we know in a race like this, team strategy is really crucial. And I mean, the guys we've seen, they work really well together in terms of protecting each other. And you go ahead but I don't think we're going to see what we did. We mentioned earlier that like what we had at Spa, where the guys are running such different strategies. So I don't think there's going to be too much opportunity to help teammates in this, I suppose, unless everyone decides to run a slower pace because they are trying to save fuel.
Wow, RTA Leap's car coming into shot there, looking amazing. And but there is a somber message on there. I think he's got RIPD, rest in peace, Dad, on the car. Oh yeah. No!
Yeah, Stephen, give us the background. I heard you talking just before we started the stream that really, really sad that RTA Leap, apparently his father passed away a couple of weeks back. Is that right?
Yeah, I believe so. And he's done this livery especially for his dad, who was a big Mercedes fan. And about 3 years ago, he finally managed to purchase a Merc for himself in that color. So
wow,
Leap made his own RTA livery, but obviously edited it for his own needs. So he's racing for his dad tonight, and I'm expecting a lot from him.
Oh, Cornet. Yeah, I mean, I know you're concentrating on driving now, but I mean, that's something really special.
Yeah, Cornet is currently fourth in the championship, now laying in 8th at the moment with no time, but that car really does look quite special in those colors and with that livery. It looks really good.
Yeah, we're just obviously, I mean, it can't be easy for him and the family, but I find the best way to deal with things like that is to do the things that you love and the things that bring back good memories. So I think he's definitely going to be putting together a special race for us tonight and for his dad as well. So nicely done, Cornet, and I hope it's going to be a cracker race. Stephen, what sort of lap times are we expecting here? Because the guys, like you said, they might be running slightly slower, looking to save fuel. And also your feedback from a tyre perspective. How heavy is this circuit on tyre wear?
I'm going to skip the first part, the lap time wise, because I actually didn't jump onto any lobbies this week, so I haven't seen what times they're running. I know it's normally or on races that I'm in, it's normally a high 1 minute 58 roundabout there, but these guys are obviously a little bit quicker than me, and then tyre wear not too severe at the ring, especially with this Merc as well. It's one of the better cars in the game. Just on pace, he's kind of like Dominic Toretto in the group here. Everyone sees family, so
that's cool.
Friends helping him out, but everybody's Taylor's friend.
Family.
No, I love that. I mean, that is so cool because, I mean, but that's the vibe that you get. I mean, you're part of a community here, you know, and even though there are guys split into teams or whatever, it's no different when you're in the paddock. You know, they're guys that you're racing against, but you're all there to race and have fun. So it's really cool that what we see happening in the real world happens in this community too. And just the banter that we were talking about earlier, you know, it looks like it's a really healthy space that the guys get to do what they love in. So that's really cool. So yeah, looking forward to see how this pans out. I mean, like you said, I mean, I mentioned earlier, the mechanical grip on this car is actually quite immense. So that for me is always a telling sign, because that is what helps you from a tire wear perspective as well. In terms of track limits, we saw the guys cutting chicane there. I'm assuming that there will be some penalties issued for that, because that is a very, very common place where you get it wrong under braking, you end up pulling straight, shooting across. Stephen, Game will be monitoring that, yeah?
Game monitors that. I think, as far as I know, it's set on strict, so it's a knife edge. Myself personally around here, I can do the first section really well. When it comes to lap time, I always lose out to these quick guys because they are millimeter perfect through that chicane every time.
Sure. The Schumacher S's, I would imagine it's quite tricky to get stuck, to stick it in the Schumacher S's.
Yeah, you can also, like the problem with Schumacher S is if you're too aggressive on the way in, you end up running a little bit deep and they've got the sand on the inside. So it almost, the game almost doesn't need to penalize you there because it's self-serving. So you end up getting bogged down big time through there. But Stephen picked up on it earlier. There are so many different lines, definitely through turn 1, but the whole bit of that complex, turn 2, turn 3, it's quite tricky because you can do block passes, you can put your car in the right place, and suddenly it's very, very difficult to get a move done. So yeah, there are different lines through there. So it'll be interesting to see what the guys tend to work on. But yeah, that's what I always like about a circuit like this, where there's some fast sections, you've got different lines. We've seen that last night when we were commentating at Kyalami. A couple of the corners got different lines that the guys can take, and what that usually does is it just brings us incidents to commentate on, because everyone always ends up joining on the same piece of tarmac afterwards.
Well, DKP just popped up on the tarmac now a second ago. He's up into 3rd position there. He was all the way down, I think 11th just seconds ago. And uncharacteristic from him to be so far down. He is 2nd in the championship. Another person that is now currently in 2nd place, though, Taylor, in the yellow liveried car over there. Ewan Taylor in 7th position in the championship. So he is secure in that top 10 spot. We've also got Dino, our title contender and title leader at the moment, in 1st place currently. So far, that's what the standings looks like. They've got a couple of laps to go. So Ian pulls in. He's currently in 5th place. Ian in 10th position, the last of our drivers who's going to make it through. Snakey over there is in 9th. So Ian and Snakey looks like they've got the battle to watch over here. 1.5 minutes to go. So between Sir Ian and Snakey, those seem to be the two cars that might be battling it out for that last position in the top 10.
Yeah, well, he'll be happy to find himself sitting in 5th at this stage. I know there's probably about a minute or so left, so the guys might still try and get another lap in. But I think you're pretty much looking at our provisional qualification list at this stage. I don't think too much is going to change as we start winding down the clock. But yeah, you rightly picked up there, Ernest. Our battle that we really want to watch is what's happening in 9th and 10th place in the overall standings, because it's going to be quite interesting. So yeah, it looks like qualifying is pretty much done and dusted. We see guys doing burnouts and donuts. You swear they've just won the championship. But Ewan Taylor's trying to prove me wrong. He wants to see if he can put that beautiful Lumo green, yellow, whatever, green. I'm going to go with green. Lumo green AMG on pole position and deny Dean. But Dean really showing his class. Have a look at that. He's a 2nd up. I mean, I thought they're making me look like an idiot here, because I kind of thought this was going to be really close, being a track that the guys know so well. But that is a big jump from 1st to 2nd.
Huge
1
jump.
second. It's
especially
massive.
for these guys. For these guys. We've seen how consistently close they've been over the last couple of months, and for him to be that far ahead is just unbelievable. But Taylor over here, Taylor Huey, might have something to say about that as he makes his way through the chicane over there. Very tight section. Oh, final begins in 8 seconds. He's got to make it over the lines through the last corner up ahead here. So he's going real wide. He pulls over. He knows it's over. Settles for 2nd place. and the race is about to start immediately. Here we go. The race is about to kick off. Race 6 of the GT Sport leg of the ATK Pro Series. As we watch the guys line up on the start line, there we've got Dino, our championship leader, in first position. Taylor, currently in 7th place in the championship, in second, so he's secure either way. Third place, we got Juan de Jager. Juan de Jager in 5th place in the championship title, in 3rd position. DKP, our 2nd place man, in 4th place on the grid. Sir Ian, there in 5th position. So Ian, one of the guys that is fighting for that title contendership, in 10th place. So watch Ian as the race goes on. We've got KLM Pace over there, Kalen Mawa, 6th place, 6 for 6, as he's 6th in the race and in the championship. Here they go, making their way down to the start finish line. The lights go green, and this is racing, folks. The ATK Pro Series is kicking off, and once again they're going to the first corner. It's going hard braking zone. Your top 3 guys, Dino, Taylor, Juan de Jager, they touch ever so slightly. Juan de Jager has a look down the inside there, but he's not going to have the inside for the following line. There are 3 yellow cars, 3 DMR cars, line astern here, as they make their way through the first couple corners.
Yeah, they're making it very easy for us in terms of identifying what team they are racing for, but not really helping us in terms of whose car we're looking at. As we jump on board with Deacon over there, obviously the first of the RTA guys in 4th place. So, yeah, I don't think they're going to be too happy running 4th and 5th at this stage. And then Kylan Mawa for KLM Pace, as he's known by his user handle, sitting there in 6th position at the moment. So Ian will be stoked. He's got a good clean start, sitting in 5th position. But like we said, it's a 40-minute race. A lot can happen. Our biggest concern here is that it's going to end up being a bit of a pedestrian showcase, where the guys are all running similar strategies, they're all managing fuel, and they're working team strategies here. And I hope that's not the case, because for us, it's kind of, we want to see a proper shootout. Most of the positions are consolidated for the MSA showdown and for our top 10 guys. So let's put on a good show, guys.
Yeah, a good show indeed, as we get hard on the brakes here. In 4th position, this looks like one of the DMR cars, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. Yes, RTA, so RTA DKP over there. Deacon, our 2nd place championship title contender, currently down the grid here through the last of the chicanes over here. There's going to be a final corner up ahead, and cones going flying. I think the guys are assuming the lines even where the cones are, but no penalties given as yet for the top guys. But so far, the train stays in the same order.
Yeah, I think if you clatter that cone square on, then generally you're safe. It's seen as that is the racing line. But I mean, those cones never last. Eh? If they make it through one lap, something's gone wrong. So good to see that's been moved out of the way. But yeah, Stephen, it looks like it is going to play out like we sadly predicted, that it could be a bit of a pedestrian race. I was hoping for some real action, but I think these guys are all running such similar paces. What I am surprised by is that Dino really hasn't shown that 1 second speed differential there in qualifying. So all I can assume is that he's running with maybe a different map at the moment, trying to preserve some fuel.
Yeah, possible. It's also the slipstream with it. When you engine to sport 3/4 of a second, gives you that. The slipstream is not huge, but obviously when you're trying to break away from the pack, if they're still within that 750, 0.75, sorry, obviously it pulls them a little bit closer to you, so you make a little bit on a corner and then they catch you on the straight again. Also, just on the RTA cars, Safa does the liveries. I noticed, and I forgot to mention earlier, the green ribbon for mental health awareness was something
cool.
Safa put on there. I see Kalen going through.
Kalen goes through. Kalen takes that position, goes up into 5th place. Wasn't happy about that 6th place at all, and now becomes the meat in the sandwich here of the RTA guys. RTA guys getting separated by Kalen Mawa. The car looks similar, but the driver certainly isn't. And Kalen really making a name for himself in this championship, Marius.
Yeah, it's actually, I'm glad we've seen an overtake move, because I think that's what I was worried about, that the teammates were all going to kind of play along. So he really is the fly in the ointment at the moment. He's kind of messing things up, messing with the guys' strategies. Because have a look, there's already a little gap that's been formed with the top 4. So I think Kylan really wants to just get back onto get to run his pace and get involved in that top battle, because obviously it's a podium position that he's looking for. It'd be interesting to see. I mean, RTA Safa RTA Saf isn't anywhere to be seen at this stage. Obviously, we can only see the top 8, so he's clearly not running in that. And we're used to seeing a lot better pace from him. So Ian obviously lost that position, but he's still safe, because I think the guy that he needs to watch for is it Snakey? That's who he's got, obviously.
Yeah.
That's who he's got to watch out for. So, interesting. 6th and 7th. So that's quite an interesting little battle over there. So I'm hoping to see that evolve. I don't know what the time split is, but I know there was a bit of a gap between our top 6 and to 7. So have a look here, 5 seconds. So good work by our director Daniel to give us that. So 5 seconds is a gap. So at this stage, so Ian, in my mind, will just be running a happy race. If he just keeps that gap, he's going to secure his position in the top 10.
I'm looking for Stefan Mocker, DMR SMP3 Pro. I'd like to see where he is at the moment, because he is our 8th place title contender, and I think he might be one of the people that could be knocked out depending on how the points go. He could be one of the guys that's knocked out.
Yeah, I heard Steven saying he's in pool 2, so he didn't actually make it. He didn't qualify for this, so that really is going to be interesting how that pans out.
I mean, remember how well he did at the early parts of the season, and unfortunately now might look at relegation from the top 10 as we look at DKP getting all up behind those DMR cars. Juan de Jager getting big pressure. He's got Taylor Ewan right in front of him, and Juan de Jager and Taylor now in 2nd and 3rd place, with Dino has taken a gap, finally put the hammer down, and look how easily he made that gap appear, did Dino.
Yeah, we were saying
another great opportunity, Mario. Someone's trying to go past it. That's Juan de Jager, goes down the inside line, tries to take his teammate, and up close and personal comes DKP now getting involved there. Juan de Jager now has the inside line, and I think Juan's going to be able to take that back. Oh no, look at that!
Brilliant!
In between goes Caleb, DKP in between them now. Oh, he loses it out again, but he will have the outside line here. Can he sneak it up back on the inside? DKP slots right back behind the guys. Taylor still in 2nd, Juan still in 3rd, DKP still in 4th.
Wow, that was proper racing, and that's what we were talking about earlier, is that you can defend your line. So a lot of the time we looked at that, we thought, oh, that's it, he's out, he's run wide, he's lost that position. But you just have to keep your car there, because the next corner is going to give you the advantage again. So that was really, really good door-to-door stuff that we saw there. So very nice.
Caleb pace slips back a little bit there.
He must have had a penalty that he served.
Oh,
we
man.
missed that.
Caleb Pace in 7th position now.
So you reckon that was a penalty, Stephen?
I don't know why it didn't show up, but I'm sure he wouldn't have backed out down that.
So it would have been cutting.
DKP goes again down the inside.
Now you see, I love that. Like, for me, if you're going to make a move, you've got to be in 100%. There's no mucking around. But it's amazing because he's not being
opposite direction.
He's not being given that. Juan de Jager fighting hard, and this is the great racing that we wanted to see. So that was brilliant, because Deacon really said, "Listen, dude, I'm coming through," and he did a proper block pass. And he's going to run wide.
He's going to run wide. Oh my goodness me! Full commitment there from DKP.
But you see, that for me is what I love. Those block passes, I mean, you've put your car there, you've got to make sure that you're preventing the guy from being able to take the corner, which didn't really work. He overshot it, and that's obviously given the position straight back. But this is great racing. Juan de Jong and DKP giving us a great battle.
I think I could be wrong here, but DKP wants to get past these guys. I think he's made it absolutely clear that I am coming for that position, guys. Oh, DKP gets it sideways. So he gets it sideways there, but I think the pressure is so piled on right now that those guys are absolutely prepared for him. Are they going to get psyched out? Is DK going to make a mistake? Is he going to be able to get past? I love these kind of moments, because what happens next is so telling, because each driver has the opportunity to make a mistake or to shine in this moment coming up.
Well, the only person that's really loving all of this is obviously DMR Dino. Dean running away with it. We know he had massive pace 1 second difference in qualifying, which is huge. But while these
4.8 seconds
guys are battling and watching mirrors and making their cars as wide as possible, he can just settle into his rhythm, clock the laps up, and what is great now as well is he can choose to run a different engine map and get into fuel saving mode, and he's sitting in the best position. But this is a great battle. You just have a look at Deacon's putting his nose in all the wrong places, but I must admit, it looks like he's finally got that past, and yes, he has.
Yes,
so
he has.
that was cracker. That was a proper. I'm going to go with assertive, not aggressive. That was an assertive overtaking move.
So Taylor, you are now in 4th position, and look at this. Everything's getting shuffled up here. Down the inside there, that's DKP. Down the inside, he gets
2
ahead.
places.
Oh, Taylor comes through as well. They touch. Taylor runs wide into the wall. The demo guys knocking each other there. Oh my goodness, chaos ensues as Pace tries to squeeze through as well. Oh my God!
Who got knocked? Because one of the odds. Was that Sir Ian that ended up getting knocked wide?
Oh, Sir Ian's 8th now. Sir Ian is 8th.
Oh my word! I feel sorry for him because Stephen, he was an innocent bystander in all of that chaos. So this is not going to make him very happy. But I mean, seriously, we saw a massive amount of pace there.
Taylor and JDJ got involved, but that's now let Snake Eye to 3rd place and taken Sir Ian all the way down to 8th.
Wow!
So for their battle, that's
not good. That is not good at all.
But I mean, now in 2nd place.
But it's amazing because I mean that move that Deacon put is a great move into the chicane, and the teammates ended up falling over each other, and poor Sir Ian ended up getting knocked out there. So that wasn't really good. Jean was running in 3rd place, and he's now all the way down to where is he?
Wow, Sir Ian down to 8th. Jean de Jager down to 11th. Yeah. What a turn of events. Let's see. Ian needs to be in the top 10 for sure, because he's currently in 10th position in the championship. He's down to 8th position, so he's okay for now. Jean de Jager was
he's not though, because GMR Snakey was just behind him with 3 points, and he's sitting in 3rd, and Sir Ian is sitting down in 8th.
But I do think Stefan Mocker being out is going to counteract that and make 1 place available.
Maybe, yeah. That's also
but either way, it's too vulnerable. He's too vulnerable.
I can't remember what that gap was from 8th to 9th and 10th. You know, we don't have the.
Yeah, I've got it here.
Have you got the points?
Yes, the points here. It's 1 point between 10th and 9. It is 10 points between 9 and 8. So Stefan Mark is only 8 points ahead of Michael Roux and about 9 points ahead of Ian Bergstad. So not much points in it. So they do get that 1 spot from Stefan for not being here, but it's still too risky to play that far down the field.
Well, what are the points up for grabs? What is the win? What are the position points here?
The win is 500, if I'm not mistaken, Steve.
That sounds right.
Yeah, 500 points per win.
And then watch, because you see what I'm trying to find out is how many points do you finish? Do you score finishing 3rd?
Let me pull that up.
But the lower positions, it's only 2 or 3 points between a position.
Oh, really? So you see, I wish we had this problem. We mentioned this yesterday when we were commentating on the Sette Corsa race. I would love the guys to move away from the sim way of scoring points, and actually, if you want to go with motor racing and making the sport real, go and issue points like they do in championships.
Yeah, I've got the points here, Marius.
Yeah.
And the points are quite interesting because you get 500 points for 1st place in Division 1, and then 464 points, or let's say 470 points for 10th place in Division 2. In Division 1, sorry. But in Division 2, the points start at 470 points again for 1st place.
So you see, that's the thing. We don't know. He could be scoring maximum points running in Division 2. So, yeah, for me, I would love to. I mean, seriously, maths was never my strong suit. I don't want to be counting in 400s and 300s. Like, just make it simple and only issue points to the top 10. And that really does throw the cat amongst the pigeons, because then there is consequence if you have a bad race. Whereas now everyone really is scoring points, and there's not much difference whether you finish 5th or you finish 8th. You know, I want to see a difference. But the guys are getting on the power. Proper racing. I mentioned we haven't seen RTA Safa. He's having a bit of a quiet race. Well, he's hurt heard me, and he's got a proper little comeback because he was nowhere near the top 8, and now he's found himself in 5th. Obviously, that incident with Ewan and Sir Ian has brought a lot of other guys into play. And KLM Pace still hasn't made up those positions. Remember, he was sitting right up at the top, got issued with a time penalty, and still sitting down in 7th. So that ain't going to make him happy. But Carl getting a position there, so he's up into 4th place.
Taylor has to slow down. Taylor gets a penalty and has to slow down.
I think the rule is that you have to slow down before the first corner, and Taylor was slowing down on the straight, but I think he might have misjudged that there. And,
slowed down too much. So Taylor now all the way down in 7th place. So Ian in 8th, KLM Pace in 6th. RTA Leap has leapfrogged his way into 5th position now, flying the livery there. RTA Safa in 4th position, Snaky all the way up to 3rd. DKP and Dino, no surprises there, 2nd and 1st.
Yeah, Cornet will be very happy. It looks like a good race. He was pretty quiet in the beginning, but certainly coming into the main battle. And look, I mean, we're not worrying about Dean. He's run away with it. 8-second gap between 1st and 2nd. So he really has the Nürburgring to himself. But there has been a lot of action further back, and this is what we want to see. The battle for 4th, 5th, 6th position is certainly hotting up.
Unbelievably so. The battle is certainly hotting up. These guys have everything to play for here, just to cement that chance to be in the top 10 for the MSA Showdown. All to play for you as we watch RTA Leap in that dedicated livery there in 5th position. On board now as we go through. This looks like, this is the final S section over here, just before the start-finish line up ahead. They're going to make a right-hand over here. They're going to stay wide on the curb, all the way onto the curb, and then cut back across. He takes a bit of a
Mark serving a penalty ahead.
Tighter line there. There's a penalty up ahead, and this could give him the advantage on the main straight over here. It's a hard braking zone at the end, 210 k's an hour, 220 up into 5th gear now. The guys are jostling in front here. One of the RTA cars down the inside, and will this one go down the inside as well? The gap is there. No, it's not. Unbelievable stuff. Close racing.
Have a look at KLM Pace behind all of the seeing in the mirror there. But that was obviously a penalty issued for cutting the chicane, and that went and lost him that position on the start-finish straight, which is probably not a great place for that to happen as well, because you lose all the drive heading down. But I mean, have a look how busy these cars are. What you notice on the circuit, the guys do ride the curbs here, and that easily unsettles the car as well. But that is the best line. Have a look. The guys are taking curb at every single corner at the moment. So,
and these cars are so loose, as you say, Marius. They're really all moving as we go on board now with KLM Pace and getting a bird's eye view of the action in front here. KLM Pace up into 6th gear for the hard right hand, and how hard are the brakes. And KLM Pace is really pushing very hard at the moment, as you so rightly pointed out, Marius. He is not holding back here, and he wants to get past these guys with 23 minutes to go.
Yeah, and Cornet is in there as well, so this is a really good little battle to watch unfolding. I'm also looking at the fuel, so all the guys are pretty much running on half tank, so it looks like they're going to go quite deep into this, Stephen. I thought the fuel consumption would have been, they would have used a lot more fuel by now.
Yeah, I think they're more concerned about the tyre wear, and if we jump a couple cars forward, maybe the director can show us, you can watch those little red blocks to see who's suffering the most. I think Taylor
That's first place we are now, Dino.
Yeah, so tyre wear looks pretty similar. Fuel looks very similar. So it leads us to what we were talking about earlier, that strategy that everyone's going to pretty much be running a very similar type of setup.
RTS Safa on similar numbers as well.
Yeah, Carl as well. They're all running the same strategy. So it means this is a proper little shootout. I think what's going to be interesting is if somebody chooses to pit a little bit earlier, maybe run later and change how much fuel they put in if they're doing those
calculations. Leaps a little bit lower on fuel there, Marius.
Yeah.
Does look like it. But will that make a difference, though, as he gets some pressure from one of the yellow cars behind him here?
When you pit, if you have to put fuel in, it does take time. So he's probably 4 or 5% less fuel than Kalen that we're looking at now. So that could be enough to give him a 2-second jump
advantage.
in the pit.
And I think that is what we're going to see the guys start doing, because they are running on a similar strategy. It's going to be to see how they go with that. So it looks like Sir Ian's our first guy to pit, because we haven't seen anybody else make that move. So interesting to see what strategy. We didn't get to see what his fuel was looking like at this point, but as we know, he's a guy that wants to consolidate position in the top 10. So
yeah, he needs to
interesting.
Ian Bergstedt, of course, currently 10th in the championship contention, pits. And he's going to be the guy to watch to see where he ends up. He's kind of got to make it into at least the top 11 today, or top 10, I would imagine. A bit of a precarious place to be for him. KLM Pace in 6th place, safe so far in the top 10, but looking good in the Gorilla car over there in 6th position. Right behind Snakey, who's managed to snake his way all the way up to 5th place.
Nicely done. Michael Rue's going to be really stoked with that, because, as you know, he was way down, benefited big time from that incident through the chicane a couple of laps ago. And this is great for him, consolidating his position. He's trying to secure a top 10 position, sitting in 11th, if I remember correctly, going into this final round. So he'll be stoked that he's sitting that high up. So we've got pit stops starting to happen. So the guys have certainly got that window period. I'm guessing, Stephen, what the guys are going to try and do here is pit with some fuel and do the calculation in terms of how little fuel they need to load to make it to the end of the race. So we can have a look at those levels there.
We're on the halfway mark, 20 minutes and 10 seconds left. Dino went in with about 40%. Diki was slightly less, which is unusual for him, 35.
Leap was on 33.
There's a couple guys in the low 40s, so
strange. So did they load up with more fuel at the beginning? Did they load up with more fuel at the beginning, or just use more fuel?
No, they've used more fuel, and they all start in the same amount.
Okay, got it. So
yeah, so it comes down, and it's like Steve was saying, just in terms of the engine map that they choose to run. You know, they might decide to run fuel saving mode now, and when it gets to the pit stop, they're going to go into full go mode and put in as little fuel as possible, because they've obviously saved during those first runs. So that is what the guys are trying to play here from a strategy perspective, is rather be fairly competitive there and thereabouts, running in 5th or 6th position, and pit with a lot of fuel and have a short stop.
Well, the guys have shuffled the deck ever so slightly. RTA Leap in 7th position, Safa in 4th, I think it was, and our Snakey in 6th, with RTA Leap there, as we got eyes on him in 7th position, right behind Snakey. So Ian in 8th place. So the guys have definitely done some weird changes here. It's quite strange that they've managed to, in some cases, mess up their pit stops, and in other cases gain some advantage in what I thought was going to be a fairly straightforward stop and go. Marius, so what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, but look, I mean, at the end of the day, we don't know, because not everyone at that point, you know, that's how it works with pit stops. There's people jumping up, some guys haven't pitted, so it's very difficult for us to kind of call that until the dust settles and all the pit stops have been taken. But as we get to this point now, pretty much everyone would have done their pit stops, and now it's a straight race to the end. So what becomes interesting here now is to see who's put what level of fuel in, because that was the only way that the guys could play here, running the same strategy, was just having shorter stops by putting less fuel in, because they've run in a slightly fuel saving map setting in the first part of the race. So Cornet looking pretty solid in 7th position. So there are one or two guys that haven't pitted yet, but it'll be interesting to see.
Serving a penalty again.
Oh, Snakey
not
slows
good for
down
him.
there. Not at all. Not at all.
Give Sir Ian, have a look. Sir Ian's jumped all the way up now. Sir Ian's past Snakey. Now remember, Snakey benefited big time, was running in 4th position. He's obviously gone and taken his pit stop now. He's been given another little penalty, and that's dropped him all the way down again. So Sir Ian's sitting in 7th, and Snakey's now out of the top 8. So that's going to put a bit of pressure on him. With 17 minutes to go, trying to secure his spot in the top 10.
KLM Pace now, we've got eyes on him in 5th place, goes to RTA Sir Ian in 7th position. The guys are pushing hard over here, as you can see. And what an interesting race so far, with pit strategies coming into play. Guys being moved all over the order. And now the order's starting to settle in, as Snakey now in 9th position. Right behind Taylor. These guys were way further up the field earlier on, Marius, and now all of a sudden find themselves fighting between each other for 8th and 9th on what was supposed to be a solid team strategy to try and be in the top 5.
Yeah, look, people might be getting confused with us talking about trying to secure their place in the top 10. They're going, but he is in the top 10. We're talking about the MSA shootout top 10. So obviously all the points from the 6 rounds are tabulated, and the guys end up the top 10 go through to the MSA shootout on the coming weekend. So that's what the guys are really battling for, and that is where it becomes really important for Michael Roux that we're on board with now, the second of the DMR cars on the screen, trying to ensure that he gets out of that 11th position overall in the championship.
Yeah, Michael Roux, just FY, Michael Roux is in 9th. But look, he's getting led past. So Ian gives up the position. I think that was Michael Roux that was given.
Taylor.
No, that was Taylor. That was Taylor.
Apologies.
No,
Taylor,
listen, there's no way Sir Ian's giving up that position. RTA versus DMR. There's no ways it's going to happen. But you can see up ahead is Sir Ian with a nice little gap over Michael. So I think there was probably team strategy there, Stephen. You were letting Snakey through.
Very possible. I also noticed TSM JDJ Jean Diago. He hasn't. I don't think he pitted yet because he wouldn't be ahead of Deaky. If he had. So he's going very deep. Already 5 minutes past the halfway mark of the race.
He's still running low fuel.
Yeah, is that him? Are we on board?
That's him. Yeah, that's in quarter tank of fuel at the moment.
Well, that's quite interesting because, I mean, he's going to have a very, very short pit stop because at this rate, he's running really, really deep. It's interesting that more guys didn't look at playing that game. Obviously, for Dean up ahead, he can just run halfway, stop, fuel, and go and run away with it because he'd opened up such a massive lead. I think it was like 8-9 seconds before the pit stops happened. So he's certainly consolidated that. Yeah, he's still sitting 10 seconds ahead of a guy that hasn't pitted. So it'll be interesting to see where he slots back in when he does take that pit stop. Obviously hoping that he can jump up a few positions.
Early, maybe when that action happened, because his tires look quite fresh here still.
Yeah.
Jean Diago in 2nd position, but will he maintain it? KLM Pace looking good in 5th place now. KLM really being a mainstay of the mid-pack, but giving the guys in front some incredible hassles in the past. He certainly made one of the best overtakes we've seen in recent times, so he's definitely got the pace to be mixing it up with the guys in front there. So far, though, in 5th position.
Well,
getting massive pressure now from Leap.
But you have a look at how easy it is to unsettle that car. You hit that the curb on the first chicane, and it really can knock you wide that you actually miss the second, and that just gives you a penalty as well. So the guys have to be so careful going through there. You really have to hit those curbs in the correct way. If you're slightly off on that contact point, you're in big trouble. Cornet really putting Kylan Mawa under some serious pressure here, and he's feeling it. We saw him getting very twitchy, making one mistake through the chicane there as well. So Cornet will like seeing that because that is what you're always looking for when you're the chase guy. Is that pressure starting to tell? Is the guy missing brake markers? Is he getting on the power too early? And it certainly looks like that pressure is starting to count.
Taylor Yui now in 9th position there, right behind Snakey. Behind that, the Stiganator, we haven't seen much of today.
But they've closed
10th position.
They've closed the gap. Michael's closed the gap.
He wants to make it to the finals.
What, sorry?
Stiganator. Sorry, if he wants to get the final.
Of course, that's Alan van Graan. Okay, Alan van Graan might be one of the guys that could be fighting for that 10th position here if things go his way. He's in 10th position at the moment, 14th in the championship, and he is, by these championship standing calculations, 31 points behind 10th place man Ian Bergstedt. So depending on how things get shuffled here, but a couple of the drivers aren't in the top 10, he might be slightly closer, but I do think he's going to want to get a 9th or an 8th position. So he's probably pushing very hard at the moment to try and make that happen.
Well, what's quite interesting as well is that we obviously had a look at, before we cut to this graphic, it looked like Michael, Snakey, started to close that gap to Sir Ian in front of him. So we predicted that Ewan led him past teammates so he can score as many points as possible to secure his position. But he really looks like he's got the pace now as well and starting to close that gap to Sir Ian. So our second placed JDJ, who was running right up at the top of the last pit stoppers, has just gone in now. So it'll be interesting to see
all the way down.
But he's going to have, has the strategy worked for him? It doesn't look like it, sadly. But it was nice to run a different strategy and try and see where that feeds you back in.
Oh man, with
looking to see if he would make it to the end, and then he's obviously realised he hasn't saved enough.
Sure,
he's not
Juan
gonna
Biaga.
make it.
He's safe in 5th place in the championship, though, hopefully in a safe position if he manages to get back near the top 10. With just 12 minutes or thereabouts to go, the guys are pushing hard here. That's
the battle I was talking
car.
about. That's the battle I'm talking about. So Snakey is now right on the back of Sir Ian. So that little, there you go, my teammates. You go past and get on the back of Sir Ian. It certainly worked because Taylor gave up that position, and Michael is looking like he's keen to put Sir Ian under some real pressure. So we like seeing this with 11 minutes to go. There weren't battles after the pit stops, but the guys are starting to get bunched up together again now because, again, it depends when did you pit, what is the tyre life looking like. We know they're all kind of running enough fuel to make it to the end of the race now, but have some people gambled and put in too little fuel? We've seen that happen a few times this season as well.
Yes, we certainly have, and we've seen guys have to go into fuel-saving mode, much to the detriment of their championship points. Hopefully we're not going to be seeing that. I think most of the guys have enough fuel, almost half a tank in some of these cars by the looks of things. Yep, 2 of those cars at least. So for most of the guys that have pitted at the regular pitting window, it's quite strange with just 10 minutes to go. Did they maybe put in too much? I don't know. But the racing certainly is still very much fiery here, at least after first position, which is sealed by Diamardino. The rest of the guys still have to fight it out for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th as we go to RTA Leap in 5th position. Sir Ian pits again.
That's puzzling. Stephen, why would he be doing that?
Possibly after that accident that took him out, he did pit the earliest of the guys, maybe short fueled and burnt his tires out.
Yeah, but this is a serious problem for him now because he's going to plummet all the way down. So, wow. Yeah, I actually missed that. So thank you for picking up on that because I didn't realize that he had pitted that early on. But I mean, he certainly is going to put himself under massive pressure now for championship positions.
Can we get eyes on him? Can we get eyes on him? I'd love to see Marius where exactly he is at the moment. 12th position for Sir Ian,
and have a look at
way down.
Way down. So this hasn't. I'm surprised though, Stephen, with that. I know there was an incident and he obviously lost a lot of positions, but I mean that's a big, brave strategy call to pit that early because that must have been about 25 minutes into the race that happened. So definitely pitting way before anyone else. And as we saw, he had no pace because Michael Snakey was catching him big time, so obviously he has burnt his tyres out, but this really hasn't played into his favour. I do love the look of Cornet's car, and he's going to be happy with this race, putting some pressure on KLM Pace now as well. That battle obviously for 4th. We haven't really seen what's happened with DKP and RTA Sapphire. I don't know what the gap is there, but that might end up being quite a nice grandstand finish for our final podium positions for 2nd and for 3rd. But yeah, it looks like as a pair, I'm told, it's about a 4-second gap between them. So I'd love to see who's closing where with 8 minutes to go. I'm looking for battles here, and this is the best one on track at the moment. Is definitely the battle with Cornet and Kylan Mawa.
Kylan Mawa. The 3 behind also still fairly close, or at least Stiganator and Taylor.
Yeah, Stiganator looking good there in 8th position, 14th in the championship at the moment.
Yeah, so Ian having to pit kind of spoiled that little battle for us because that was building up quite nicely. So this does look like the closest action on circuit at the moment. Our battle for 8th and 9th position. So Stignator is going to be looking to score as many points as he can here, as all the guys are. But I know he was correct, Ernest. He was sitting just outside the top 10 in the overall championship.
Yeah. Man, the calculators are certainly going to come out after this race with some of these guys. A little bit concern on their faces now as they make their way into the final minutes of the final round of the ATK Pro Series, powered by Mercedes-Benz. And if you like Mercedes-Benz, I'm sure you like this kind of racing as well. We've got the 2016 AMG GT3 circling the Nürburgring, currently on board over here as we go down the hill into the sharp right-hander, then up the hill back towards the Schumacher S's.
Breaking himself there. Stiganate's obviously looking good, but who was that up? Who was that up ahead?
That was Snake Eye.
That was Snake Eye.
Snake Eye getting it a bit wrong, running in very, very deep. But I mean, he's not under any pressure. He's got his teammate Ewan that's running shotgun for him. But Stiganator giving us some action to get excited about with 7 minutes to go.
Yes, Stiganator putting huge pressure there on Taylor Huey as they go through the right-hander now, and again up the hill towards the final section of the circuit. But big pressure being applied now, and I wonder if he's going to try and make that overtaking maneuver. We've seen these guys not hold back in the final moments, Marius, and maybe take things a little bit too far sometimes. But with 6.5 minutes to go, that gives him about, I would say, about 2 to 3, let's say 3 to 4 laps, 3 laps or so to try and get past. And that's all the time he's going to get. So will he be able to make that stick, or will he settle for 8th place? We're going to find out within the next 6 minutes or so as the action continues at the ATK Pro Series.
Yeah, he got a little bit messy when we went on board with him. We saw him coming on the power a little bit too early onto the start-finish and getting the car squiggly and snaking around underneath him. So that's not going to help him with the long run and trying to get onto the back of Taylor Huey. But we've gone on board now with RTA Leap with Cornet, who seems to be closing that gap to KLM Pace. And like you said, with 5 minutes to go, 5.5 minutes, there might be 2 or 3 more, probably 2 more laps here, including this one that they're on. I don't know if he's got enough time to get onto the back of him, because they are running pretty similar lap times. So Ian is obviously still stuck all the way down in 12th, because I think there was about a 9-second gap between 12th and 11th. So not a great outing for him at all. He'll probably feel a bit hard done by, because he was an innocent bystander in that little incident going through the chicane, and that's kind of ruined his race.
I'm not sure if it was Taylor who caused that chain reaction, but TSM JDJ also will be a little bit hard done by their contact with his teammate, the spin, and then all the chaos that shuffled the pack for us.
Yeah, but that's what we spoke about it, Stephen, before the race. I mean, there are 2 pressure points on the circuit, really, and that is obviously turn 1 and most certainly the chicane, because that is really where the guys tend to fall over each other, because it always happens when you're coming from maximum speed down a long straight to a very, very heavy braking position. Stuff like that's going to happen. And Cornet proving me wrong, getting got in a big power slide there, came on the power a little bit too early. So easy to do when you get a sniff of the tailpipes ahead of you. I said I didn't think he'd be able to catch Kylan Mawa, and there he did in that lap, and then just went and got a bit excited on the fun pedal and lost all the good work that he'd done. Got ruined by 1 corner.
So frustrating with just 4 minutes to go. RTA Leap now with KLM Pace in its sights. Well done for KLM Pace to making his way into 4th place, as one of the other drivers pitted early on. So Ian pitted early on, all the way down the order then. But some guys managed to get the benefit of that as we see more battles taking place. Now this is between RTA Stig and
so he's got
Taylor.
past, eh? So he's actually he's got that move done, because he was behind Taylor Huey. So I'm sure he's got that move done.
And Jean de Jager further back there. That looks like Jean and Jean de Jager in 9th and 10th position.
A moment there, and he's dropped off the back of Taylor.
Ah, okay, well spotted. Thanks. It's so hard. We keep saying it.
All these Jeans and
Jean de Jager's been let through, eh? Jean de Jager's been let through.
But it's also because the car's all the same. You know, you can't go, oh, well, that's so-and-so, because I can't see their helmets. I know they've got the unique helmets.
We should definitely make a rule next year. I think these guys need different liveries. Jean de Jager's been let through. I think they're trying to the team's letting him loose to try and make up as many places as possible. 3 minutes to go. And look at that. Jean de Jager's definitely got pace on Stiganator. And I think a pass is going to be inevitable in the next lap or so, Marius.
Stephen, I'm wondering if his tyres aren't done. Sorry?
Jean de Jager, remember, pitted with about 13 minutes to go.
Yeah.
4 or 5 laps after the other guys.
Yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying, because he looks like he's got good tyre wear, and it looks like Stiganator is kind of struggling because that car is all over the place. So that's probably the benefit that we're seeing here of that late pit stop strategy. He's got a car that's running on new rubber. He's not going to survive that.
That touch. Jean de Jager gets pushed wide there. He goes in for the overtake, but from the outside, that wasn't going to work. And he goes back into position.
You can't turn in, you got to wait.
Luckily, nobody got knocked out there. That could have been bad in the last couple of minutes.
But just have a look at the traction that he's got. I mean, he literally from there can just get on the power so much earlier. So here comes the overtake move. There's no ways he's going to defend this into turn 1. So great move running on new rubber. Wow. He's going to
Oh,
run.
down the
He's going to run
inside.
wide. Yeah, look, he's gone wide. He's not going
Juan
to
de
make
Jager's
it.
down the inside. Juan de
Yeah.
Jager gets the overtake.
Yeah, so that's, I mean, you saw that coming because, you're running on older rubber. Not only are you compromised on getting on the power, but you're also compromised getting on the brakes. So you can see he ran a little bit deep, obviously feeling the pressure from behind. But that was a great move. And obviously Stignator now losing that position. Have a look at that car, snaking all over the place, but so are the cars behind him. So I think the only one that's really benefiting here is Jean, because he obviously puts it so late, so that's working in his favor. And I'm not sure if Cornet's gone and made a mistake, another one, because he's fallen way off the back of Kalen pace. So Kalen will be a bit grumpy because fourth is so close to the podium, but I'm sure he would have liked to finish the final round on the podium as we count down with a minute 10 seconds to go. But our top three are the usual suspects, DMR Dino, RTA DKP, and RTA Safa, the guys that really have dominated the 6 rounds of the Gran Turismo Sport Series. And it's going to be interesting to see how things shuffle up when we get into our MSA shootout. Because Dean has really been in a class of his own this season.
Indeed. DMR Dino in a class of his own with 1,985 points in first position once again and securing that first place title.
Look at the fuel though. Check at the fuel. He's flashing fuel on the last lap.
So Steve, is that enough? Is that enough to get him home?
We can't see the actual percentage that he'll be seeing, but he's got an 18-second lead, so he basically needs to make it to the chicane, and he could probably coast from there.
I would be backing off big time because I'm just seeing this thing flashing, and it's like we all know our reserve tank's got 50 Ks, but I mean not in a race car.
Well, the first 3 guys in the championship are in first, second, and third position, so all 3 of them have. I mean, that's been the story of the season, hasn't it?
Yeah, and it kind of sums it up. I mean, that's what you normally see. Those guys that have dominated the season get to the final round. They're doing exactly the same thing. So,
DMR Jean pulling off there.
Yeah, I think he's running out of fuel.
Oh my goodness, that is not good. So he is in 12th position, last place.
Can we go on board? I'd like to see that.
It looks like
that's got him finishing.
Okay, that's interesting.
Well, that's why. But he's a lap down, so you'll obviously find his position then. But I mean, this is it. Why we now got 2 minutes 45 going? I'm puzzled.
Yeah, the 2.
Finish. Okay, so that's what they've got to finish the lap. This is, if you're getting as confused as I am, this is the race leader, DMR Dino, that we saw with hardly any fuel left. But like Steven said, he can idle from here.
Now just switch it off. Just switch it off and let it go across the line. No chances. No chances here, but no chances taken as Dean Orkay secures the first position.
21 seconds. That is huge.
Domination this season.
And it was about 8 once Deacon got through on the other DMR
He is the
guys.
champion. He is the best. In second position, DKP comes through. And second position in the championship as well. A little bit of side-to-side action there. Oh, big sideways moment to the back there for RTA Safa.
Oh, they're all having fun.
Don't lose it now, guys.
Yeah, they're all having fun.
Kalen Pace gets fourth, and we're all happy with that. All fans of Kalen Pace over here.
How many laps have they done here, Stephen? Do you know?
Well, 21.
Okay, so that's what interesting. So if you have a look at that, so his qualifying difference, Dean was a second quicker than second position, and he's won by 21 seconds, and they've done 21 laps. So that pace he showed in qualifying, he brought through into the race as well. Brilliant.
Unbelievable stuff there. Well done, Dean, but we're going to go to ads, and we'll be right back with the official results. And that is it for us here at the ATK Pro Series for this season. Marius, what a season it's been. This is the final round. Now, before we go to the mega MSA showdown happening this weekend, but DiMardino secures his spot. DKP, Safa, KLM Pace, all these familiar names look like they might make it through. We're waiting for the final verdict. See, Ian sneaks through in 10th position there. And so does Stiganator. So I think the familiar boys are going to be going through.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, you said it right at the end of the broadcast. Our top three are the top three in the championship. But Dean, for me, really has been the standout, consistent driver. There's been some mixing up. We've had a couple of other guys coming up to top spot in the podium, but Dean's consistency has paid off. But that means nothing when you get to the showdown. That's when he's got to make it count. So he's wrapped up this championship, but that showdown next weekend is going to be a cracker.
Stephen, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, your input has been invaluable, and I mean, you know things that I'm never going to know about what's going on in this world. So thank you so much for joining us for these 6 rounds.
Thanks a lot, guys. It's great being on, and look forward to the showdown.
Yeah, the showdown's happening this weekend, guys. So stay tuned at the 18th of July. And the MSA Showdown is where all the best sim racers get together to figure out who is the champion of the ATK Pro Series. My name is Ernest Page, and this event is powered by Mercedes-Benz Motorsport South Africa, Kylomi 9 and of course, Coach Dave Academy. We'll see you guys at the showdown. Till then, goodbye.